Right now in League of Legends, draft is probably the deciding factor between who wins a game and loses the game before the game even starts. It's actually really interesting that in prior seasons, a lot of the time, if you have way stronger players, usually you'd still win, even if you had a really uh, inferior draft. And while that can still happen nowadays, it's not like it can't. You can see it like T1 consistently does it, Cloud9 consistently does it. But my point is that, well, before it was a lot easier to win with a bad draft. Right now it feels like that's not the case. And I thought this series was really interesting because it kind of shows it exactly. So I'd like to go over the whole series. I have some clips of points into the game where the draft affects how the teams play the game. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. I made a list of what I wanted to talk about, so we'll see how it goes. So game one, T1 ends up banning Senna. They banned Senna, Karma, and Set. Now Senna is fine. I think she's a good ban. There's a lot of champions that can pair up with her. She also is played as a farm champion right now, so she has a lot of flexibility. Karma is also really good. She's actually good enough to be blind picked on blue side, I think, as B1, because she can be flexed top, mid, and support, and she can even be flexed ADC, even though it's not that common. So Karma is a completely fine ban. Now the set is really weird. I don't think there's like a super good set player on Team Dynamics side, so the set ban just seems really weird to me. Maybe they're afraid of like set support because it goes against what Teddy enjoys playing, or Teddy and Effort enjoy playing. I'm actually not sure. So set is really weird to me. The TF is really good. The Kalista is understandable, and then the Varus is completely normal. The champion is completely busted. T1 ends up first picking Volibear, and this is just awful. First pick Volibear has no purpose. Like you don't know where you're playing against, and you're not really denying anything because you can easily counterpick him with Graves or Olaf or Kindred. I'm actually not sure about Kindred. I think Kindred is fine into Volibear, but I'm actually not sure. So maybe ignore that one. So yeah, Volibear is really weird. Like this priority, it keeps happening to a lot of teams, and it's like I understand that he can be flexed top and jungle, but is way stronger in the jungle and is still bad. Like is the equivalent of is basically set that doesn't scale, but is very early game, which is like a worse Olaf, but slightly better late game, which is still not very good. So I don't know. It's really weird, I think. Then Team Dynamics goes for Ezreal Bard. Ezreal Bard is really strong. Ezreal can already kind of lane by himself, so the fact that Bard can just leave the lane to go pick up Chimes, and then Ezreal gets a lot of solo EXP, kind of catapults him a little bit into the game. You'll often see this lane having ADC with 1 level lead, just because of that. And then Bard also leaves the W behind, so it's not like Ezreal can be poked. The other thing about Bard that's really interesting is that he works as an engage, as a disengage, and he also has terrain scaling. So is really interesting. Is really interesting, and I think it's really cool that people are playing him more. Is also really good against Aphelios, which T1 ends up picking, which is really weird. Like Aphelios. Okay, so Aphelios here is interesting, especially because it's T1. So Teddy is really insane. I don't think anyone can deny that. Teddy is really insane as a player. So picking him Aphelios, I think it makes sense if you want to play around him. With that said, when you pick Aphelios into this team composition, like it's only 2 champions and Aphelios is already hating himself. Like Ezreal can be kind of played around. It really depends on like the R3, R4, and R5. But Bard is such a nightmare. Like if you don't have flash as Aphelios during team fights, Bard can just fuck you over so hard. Especially if you have any kind of slows on the other side of Team Dynamics. Just because Bard ult, it's really insane against Aphelios. So Aphelios kind of hates himself right now. Trash is good. Trash helps dealing with the Bard, and it's a really strong lane against these two. So Trash is good. There isn't really much to say about him. Then Dynamics go for Azir, and Azir is really good into both Volibear and Philios. So this is actually like perfect. There's like a good, uh, well, there's like I really wonder if picking Corki wouldn't be better in this situation, but maybe I'm missing like a counter pick or something. Because I think Corki is honestly just a better Azir in a lot of the situations. He scales really hard. He has better pressure early game. He can poke a lot better generally. The only thing is that Azir is really good at objectives. Like he melts them so fast. And Azir is slightly better. Well, he can help his team a lot better than Corki when it comes to stuff like Volibear or maybe like Silas or something like that. So maybe that's what they're going for. I don't think it's necessary because you have Ezreal on your side, but maybe they're also trying to deny the Azir, the Azir from T1 side, which I think it's a bit weird because like if you go Karki here, and then T1 picks Azir they go, oh shit, I can't fucking type with this. If they go A is for Azir. If they go Azir here and you go Karki here, Jesus. If you go Karki here, like the Azir kind of hates his life because he's playing against Poke from Ezreal, he's playing against Bard, which he doesn't really enjoy, and he's playing against Karki, so there's like so much Poke. And like while Azir is fine, well, he's not fine. He's okay. He's not really doing anything. Like he can't really have space. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's weird that they'd go for Azir instead of Corki, but that's just I personally am a really big fan of Corki, so I'm biased. The LeBlanc ban is fine. There's not much to say about it. Olaf ban, I mean it's mostly because of the Volibear, but like why did you even pick him in the first place? And then the Trundle ban is also, I think it's completely fine. The Trundle ban I think is actually good. I'm kind of a big fan of Trundle, even though a lot of people don't seem to like him. I don't think he's B1 material, or like even B2, B3, or R1, R2, but I think he's actually really good. And then the J span is just, I mean, I don't know. Like the J span is really bad because he loses lane, against Azir, so he can't be flexed mid, and you have R5. You have R5, so like you can always counter pick up. So like the J span is just really bad in my opinion. It doesn't make any sense, but they end up going for it anyways. T1 goes for Cannon, and now Cannon is so bad. Like you're playing Cannon against Graves that has the W, playing against Azir, you're playing against Bard, and you're playing against Ezreal. Like all of these champions are good into Cannon. Ezreal can just run away. Well, it's not as simple as that, but yes, he can run away. He can kite him really well. He can go Gauntlet. Like right now, going Gauntlet is really good as Ezreal because it's good against him, against Volibear, it's good against Aphelios, it's good against Cannon. It's even good against Thresh. It's a really small thing against Thresh, but it's good. So like I don't understand why you'd pick Cannon. Like there's so much better champions. Like if you want hard engage, go for Wukong. You're gonna get counterpicked anyways. Then they end up going for Karki. I think Karki is really good. It actually so this team is interesting because like Karki is the only champion that's like good into this pair, and even like Bard to some extent. Not so much, but like he's fine. He can just Valkyrie away from Bardult. So Karki is really good against everything on Team Dynamics side, and I don't think there's any top laner that can stop that from happening. And the other thing about Karki is that is actually allowed to like create space for Cannon and even Volibear, and by doing that he is also creating space for Aphelios to just go in. So Karki is really good. Then they go for the Salas. Salas is I don't like Salas here. Salas is really weird. Like I understand you're gonna steal the ulti from Cannon, and that's really good. But the thing with Celis is that you already have magic damage as Azir and as Ezreal, so it's like you have so much magic damage. Even Bard does a lot of magic damage. So it's like it's really easy for T1 to just get a Maul of Malmortius on Aphelios. It doesn't even need to go Death Dance. He legit just goes Maul of Malmortius, he gets a Corki gets an early X Drinker, Volibear gets I don't know, Spirit Visage, what's the name of the item? Something Helm. Shit, I can't remember. Player, by the way. It's Adaptive Helm. There you go. Then Cannon can't really itemize into MR, but it doesn't matter because it's just there to create space. It doesn't really need damage or to survive for that long. So I think that the Karki pick actually salvages a lot of what goes on in this team composition for T1, because you can kind of poke against team dynamics. You can create space with the Karki when paired together with the Cannon and to some extent the Volibear. So the Karki kind of salvages the draft. I think if this was like Azir, it would be really garbage. If this was what are the champions? Like a Galio, I think it would be really bad. So Corki really makes up for a lot of the weaknesses on T1 side, in my opinion. Aphelios kinda still hates his life, Cannon still hates his life, Volibear hates his life, but like Corki just scales so well, and he's just really okay into everything on the other side. So if before like the draft was if without Corki the draft is a 20 to 80 in favor of dynamics, now it's like 40 to 60. And like this is a single champion, like Corki did this alone, in my opinion, so it's really big. I have a clip of how Aphelios hates his life in this game, which is really interesting. It's like he can't really walk up. Yeah, they're just getting chunked. I think Cuz ends up stealing the Drake, which is kind of funny, but like the Aphelios can't really walk up like ever past this line because he's just gonna get chunked. Yeah, and then Cuz steals the Drake, fucking Chad. But the Aphelios he can't really do anything. It's really sad. And this is with like Cannon having a flash and ult and everything. There's not a lot of context in this clip, so I mean you're free to disagree with what I'm saying. But if you go into the game and see what's happening, I think you can kind of understand what I'm trying to say. So going into game 2, and I'm gonna do this all in a row, so hopefully I don't fuck up. Going into game 2, T1 ends up winning. If you watch the game, it's mostly because of the Karki, and well, honestly, it's not all the Karki. It's a big part of it is just dynamic misplaying a lot, both mechanically or mainly mechanically, and decision making wasn't really there a lot of the time. So Dynamics ends up going for a TF ban. I think it's really good. Azir ban is kind of weird, but it's not bad. I think there's better bans, but Azir is fine. Kalista is really good too, especially Teddy's Kalista. Like Teddy is really insane on her. Karma ban is good. Volibear ban, it's probably to ban themselves or something, so they don't first pick it. And then Set ban is really weird. Like I done these two champions, it's bad. I think you're red side and you don't have two bans. That's basically what you did to yourselves. They go for first pick Ezreal, that's okay. And then T1 goes for the Aphelios, and you don't know what you're playing into, so now they can literally just go Trundle and Zoe, and the Aphelios fucking hates his life, because there's no champion that can match that. They go for Trundle Bard. Trundle Bard is fine. Bard Zoe would also be good here. So yeah. Like, Aphelios sees this and like he already hates his life. Like, all of this is good into Aphelios, so... There's just imagine trying to play around Tempered Fate, which is Bard's ult, and then trying to play around Trundle's Pillar while also dodging skill shots from Ezreal. And there's more champions to come, so like there's 3 champions and the Aphelios already can play the game. But I guess first picking him, it's really fine. So whatever. They go for Nidalee. I think Nidalee is really bad. Unless, well, okay. So the thing with Nidalee, and this really depends on the bans that are gonna come out. But the thing with Nidalee is that you can just pick Corki. And like, Jesus Christ, I probably feel like a Corki apologist right now, but like, Corki is just so good right now. Like, there's not a lot of champions that can counter him. Like, you have 2 bans coming up, so like, you can ban whatever counter you're not comfortable playing against. So like, if you want to ban LeBlanc, then go for it, although, I mean, you're playing against Kuzan, he's not gonna play LeBlanc. At least I don't think so. So like, Corki is really good if you pick him here. And the other thing is, like, if you pick Corki, you not only avoid a possible ban from Team Dynamics side, you also make it, like, it's so unlikely that they're gonna ban Nidalee. Like, why would they ban Nidalee? It's pointless to ban Nidalee. So like, I don't understand why the huge priority on it. Then they end up going for the Cannon and Mordekaiser. I'm not really sure why they banned the Mordekaiser. It seems like a really weird pick, or a really weird ban to me. Like, the Cannon I can kind of understand. I think it's still bad, but I can kind of understand because like, it's really weird for Aphelios and even Trash in Italy to play the game against these 3 champions, and if there was a Cannon top, then it would be also really hard. So like, the Cannon has some logic behind it, but I'm not sure about the Mordekaiser. Wukong, I think is a fine ban. It's kind of fine into everything on Dynamic side. He's not good into Ezreal, but he kind of plays around a Trundle fairly decently. Then LeBlanc is just fakers LeBlanc, so I don't think LeBlanc is particularly good in this situation. But like, I think it's an okay ban. They end up picking the Zoe, and Jesus. Then they go for the Lucian top. For those that don't know, Lucian counters Jace top. You're literally just a better Jace with less poke once you get to like mid game, late game. But like, you have better split push power, you have better laning phase, you have better DPS. There's just, Lucian is just really good into Jace in general. So the Jace is kind of fucked. I really hate the Jace pick, because it's like the same thing that I talked about on game 1 where they banned Jace. Like, what's the point of banning Jace? Because if they pick him, like, you still have your mid laner. Or, well, I hate the Jace pick here on R4 specifically. Well, I hate him in general in this game, but like, if you're gonna pick him, you should have picked on R5 because you don't want to be counterpicked. Because like, this could easily be an Arn. Like, if this was an Arn, like, it would still be completely fine for Team Dynamics side. And like, I don't know, this is just really bad. Like, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to make like poke from Nidalee and the Jace, but like, you have these 2 champions that are trying to do one thing, and then these 2 champions are trying to do another thing, and you're not really, there's no, yeah, and then they pick Orianna. And like, tell me, like, what is Orianna gonna do this game? Like, she's gonna E the Aphelios, and then she's not gonna do anything else because she can't walk up. Like, Orianna, she has a really hard time playing against Trundle Pillar. She has a really hard time playing against Bard Qs. She has a really hard time playing against Ezreal Qs. She has even a hard time playing against Zoe Qs past laning phase. So like, Orianna is so useless. She's gonna be ulting the Aphelios, she's gonna be clicking E on the Aphelios, and then they're all gonna get poked down, and then the Nidalee is gonna heal 1/3 of the poke, and she's gonna be like, oh yeah, Nidalee is so good. Dude, you were 1/5 HP. Yeah, now you're almost half HP. Great. You still can't play the game though. Like, fucking god. Why would you pick Nidalee? But yeah, like, Orianna doesn't make sense with this team composition. That's like my main thing. Like, Orianna is good with Aphelios and Thresh. There's no denying that. Or like, in a vacuum, it's good. Not against all of this. But Orianna is good with Aphelios and Thresh in a vacuum. But then like, she's really bad with Jace and Nidalee against this team, because you can't assist the Jace in poking, because you can never approach them. You can't assist an Italy in poking because you can never approach them, and they have better poke. So it's not like these two champions being able to poke solves anything, because it doesn't. So I mean, like, Orianna is a shield bot. She can't even ult. Like, it's really hard to get an angle to ult as Orianna in this game. So it's like Faker and the Aphelios hate their lives. Like, both Teddy and Faker hate their lives playing against this team composition. There's a clip in a Drake fight. This game was really weird, honestly. Like, honestly, this game was really. If you actually watch the game, SKT weren't really playing. It's like they had their brains turned off. It was really weird. But anyways, they have a really hard time. Like, T1 is trying to poke on everything, but like they have such a hard time doing that. Then the other thing is, like, there's just so much DPS from the other side. Yeah, like, it's so hard. Like, if you overstep a little bit, you have Trundle Pillar, you have Bard ults coming in. It's so hard to play the game. And then you have like poke from Ezreal and Zoe. Like, would you say that Nidalee was over? Look at that. Is she over? She's not overextended, or at least you don't feel like it, and then she just gets put to below half HP. Yeah, like, and this would happen to anyone. This would happen to Aphelios, to Orianna, to Thresh, to Jace. Like, the champions are so bad. And then like Nidalee is 1/5 HP, and then she heals 2/5. Amazing. Still can't play the game. Yeah, and now they're trying to force engage, but they can't because their team doesn't have engage. Like, what engage do they have? They have Suicide Bomber Jace going in with Orianna ult. Like, that's never gonna work. So it's really bad. And like, I think this team fight shows it perfectly. Obviously, I'm like picking a spot in the game, so like you can't say that I'm biased. But if you go watch the game, I think you can understand what I'm saying. Now, going into game 3, this one is actually interesting because the comps were. I'll talk more about it, but I think the comps are a lot harder to judge than I initially thought. So, going again, Karma is good, Set is bad, Trundle is good. Maybe not this early. Well, Trundle is weird because like he has a lot of priority as like first pick or second. He usually is picked a lot in like these spots, but I don't think he's good enough to be picked in those spots. I think he should always be picked like maybe R3, R4, R5, and like blue 4, blue 5. So like banning him here, it's really weird. I don't really agree with it, but okay. And then TF is good, Kalista is fine, and Azir is fine. There's not really much to say about those. And they go for the first pick Volibear. I mean, no guys, it's not the first game. It's still 101. So yeah, third game. Even though, you know, I guess they won the first game, so it must mean the Volibear is good. Yeah, it's like I've seen this before. I mean, there's not really much to talk about. Just this is good into this. Aphelios hates his life. Volibear hates his life. Thresh is kinda like, yeah, I can try to put Aphelios out of Bardol, but that's about it. Then Olaf comes in as a counter to Volibear, and like Olaf is really bad. With, well, he's not like really bad. I don't think he's good with like Bard and Ezreal, but it is acceptable, especially if you're gonna be trying to push leads early game, which we don't really know because we don't see the draft yet. So I think Olaf is weird. I think you'd rather like pick I don't know, like Zoe. Zoe's pretty good. Corki's pretty good. Third game in a row where I say for people to pick Corki, but you know, a bit of a Corki apologist right now. There's probably other good champions that I'm just like blanking on. Actually, the thing with Zoe is that Cassidy is open, so maybe Zoe isn't this good early on, and maybe Corki isn't either. Now that I think about it, I'm not actually sure. I'd need to think more about variations because Kassadin is really good into those champions. But it depends on jungle matchup. But they have Volibear, so maybe he's fine. I don't know. Just a random aside. Sorry. So they go for a little Blanc. Zoiban. Zoiban is good. This is fine. The Corki ban. Yeah, I think the Corki ban is good. It's like if you don't plan to pick Corki, I think the Corki ban is good. And then the Lucian is like, eh. Like why do you ban Lucian? You can just draft around him and not be worried. But I guess ban Lucian. Why not? The Galio comes in R4, and I have really mixed feelings about Galio, cause like on one hand, like it's really good at stopping an engage, and like T1 is a really big fan of Cannon. They actually go for it here. It's really good at stopping the engage, so like they probably mind control T1 to pick Cannon or something. It's really good to stop Cannon, and like you can play around with Olaf in case it just like dives into the team fight or something. But like if Olaf is diving, it's really bad. Unless you got a sick Bard ult, which then is really good. So like I'm really on the fence about the Galio pick. I don't think it's particularly great. I think it's borderline acceptable, but not so good. Then T1 goes for the Lulu, and this is Lulu mid. I don't have enough information about Lulu actually. Like I think these comps are really weird to like measure, because when Aphelios has access to Lulu is just a completely different champion. Like the range, if before let me just make like the minimap here. Ah, Jesus Christ, am I good at drawing or what? So like let's imagine this is like the Drake area. Ah shit. Okay, let's just make 2 lines. Okay, let's make 2 lines. If before like Aphelios could only go like this far, before like he starts getting poked by like Ezreal and Galio Q and like Bard axes and stuff like that, with Lulu he can actually like go this far. Like he'll still get poked, but he gets so many steroids and shields and stuff that's like it really changes how the champion works. So it's like it's really hard to measure, because I've never seen like enough games of Aphelios Lulu, specifically Lulu mid, because it actually matters, because the shield is so much bigger. So I'm not sure like how easy or how much easier it is for the Aphelios to play the game. But like generally, if the Lulu wasn't here, like Aphelios really hates his life, because he's gonna always have like pressure from the Galio, the Sal, or my bad. He's always gonna have pressure from the Silas, the Galio, and the Olaf, and then the Bard too. So like, I mean, I guess this is kind of obvious, but like everyone has threat on him. Like the Ezreal has threat, the Bard has threat, the Olaf has threat, the Galio he can have threat. It really depends, but like he's mostly there to defend. And then the Silas is like he's gonna steal the cannon ult, and then he's just gonna run at them, and it's gonna be like, what the fuck? What do I do? And then to make it better, if they get like a Bard combo with Silas and Galio, then it's just sick, and the Phyllis can't really do anything. So I think it's an interesting draft. Like Lulu kind of salvages the draft in a way. I don't think it's enough. Like this is really similar. If without Lulu, like the draft is the 20 to 80. Like with Lulu, maybe it's a 40. Well, I said exactly the same before, but like maybe now it's a 40 to 60, or maybe it's even like a 50-50, because I'm not actually sure. Like I don't know like how much Aphelios changes with Lulu. Like Lulu creates either of these scenarios, and it's really scary. And then the thing is, like, if Aphelios ever gets to like 4 or 5 items, dynasties, not dynasties, I don't know why I keep calling them dynasties. Dynamic stims, like they don't have a lot of damage. Like Silas has a really hard time doing damage like consistently. So like Ezreal is going to be most of the damage once they get to like later stages. And then like Galio, I mean, if he goes full damage, like he'll have something, but it's like it's so hard to stick onto someone and like actually do damage to them. Bard, unironically, this is good damage late game, but like it's never enough. So like this game looks so different. Like if Aphelios gets to 4 items plus, like if Aphelios gets to 4 items plus, what am I doing? If he gets to 4 items plus, like the chances of them winning goes up by like 10% or maybe like 20%. It's really scary, I think. So this draft, I need to think more about this draft, but I think it's still on Dynamic's side, mainly because it's like they're gonna have early pressure, so they're gonna have a lot more to work with early on, and then they can snowball off of that. And like 4 items is still a long way to go, I think. So yeah, there's some clips. There's actually a lot of clips this game. This game was a bit of a fiesta. Like Drake is almost spawning, and the Aphelios, like no one can really walk up here, and if they go here then they would just poke from there, so like it's really hard to approach the Drake when you get a positional advantage, Steam dynamic. And like the other thing is, like if they ever try to go through this spot in the jungle, like Bard has a really good spot to ult, like Celis has a good flank, or even like from here depending on where he is. I'm sorry. So yeah, like they can't really approach that easily. There's a few more clips. This one I found it really interesting because like Cannon is here, as we're gonna see, and like he has a really, like he kind of has an opener. Like it's not really a big opener because like Ezreal is in a really good position. He can just E out and he's completely fine. Bard can just E out too, and like then he can bring people. But like if they do that, then they just lose Drake. So I'm not even sure if that's like what Kana is thinking about. The other thing is like if Kana actually engages in here, the Galio is just gonna ult this area and no one can collapse from T1 side. So it becomes really weird. So it's really interesting that he ends up running because you wouldn't think so, or at least I don't think you'd think he'd do that. Then like once they're in an even position, it's so hard for them to do anything. This is what I was talking about, where Aphelios can like just walk up more than usually can. Yeah, like it's so hard. It's so hard for yeah, like and then Bartle comes in. It's really hard for the Aphelios to play the game, and like there's no one else that can do anything. And the other sick thing about this is that is like even if Cannon like got a sick engage like up front, which usually it never happens realistically, but like even if Cannon gets like a sick engage where he like flashes and he gets people here, Bard can actually just ult. Like Bard can ult the people that are trying to follow up, and then Cannon kind of just doesn't do anything. And like that can consistently happen too. So it's like it's really scary to play this game as Cannon. I think it's really hard to do anything. You have to worry about the Salas. You have to worry about the Bard. Ezreal is always gonna come out out of your reach, and then Galio is really annoying too. Then there's this clip where Ezreal is kind of just running, and like this is Ezreal alone. He has one gauntlet, and it's enough to kind of just stop anyone from doing what they want. Elim kind of is doing interesting stuff right now. Yeah, then Galio comes in, the Bard ult is like, it's really big. Like, Aphelios has no flash, so he can never dodge this. And even if he does dodge it, like, even if the Aphelios manages to dodge it, you buy enough time for the Galio to come in, and like, it doesn't matter. So, oh. So yeah, like, Bard is really good into Aphelios. Especially when you have these kind of compositions that support him. Then they end up chasing, and yeah, usual. Then this is like what I was talking about. Oh no, it's not this clip. It is the same thing. Like it's really hard to approach. There's not really much to talk about here. There's a 200 years clip somewhere. Is it here? I don't think it's this one. Okay, okay. So there's these are like the two situations where T1 actually ends up winning a team fight, and I want you guys to see like how many misplays there needs to happen for this to actually occur. So look at Kuzan. He's going. He's going. He's going. He's not doing anything. Kuzan is useless. He's unused twice and he didn't do anything. Okay. So the Galio didn't play the game, this team fight. Okay. What else? Let's see. The Salas is trying to approach. Okay. The cannon just ulted the Bard, so like the Bard couldn't. Oh, actually, I skipped one part. So okay. So Salas trying to approach. Now the Bard fails his ult, and this is really big. Bard fails his ult. The Salas can't really do anything. The Galio is useless. Like there's so many misplays in this team fight, and that's why they win. But like if any of those things like actually goes well, this game is so much different. Like if the Galio isn't like inting, if the Galio isn't running it down and he can ult here, like this team fight is so much different because suddenly the cannon can't really have lethal on Ezreal. The Salas can just play the game differently. He doesn't feel pressure to go in, and like this is one thing. Like this is just Galio going in. Like if he doesn't go in, it's just really different. If Bard doesn't fail his ult, then like Galio can actually go in, and then Salas has follow up, and like the cannon doesn't matter. What else? Yeah, like that's mostly the stuff. Like a single change, a small one in this team fight, and like this looks completely different. And you can't say the same on T1 side. Like even if Cannon doesn't get a sick ult here, on like on the Bard and like the Ezreal, it doesn't matter because they misplayed. And the thing is, if they don't misplay, even if the Cannon gets a sick ult, it doesn't matter because they didn't misplay. So like you can't really play the game. Then the last clip is just Aphelios doing Aphelios things. Like Aphelios Lulu is so disgusting once he gets like 5-6 items. And the funny thing is like this was still a close team fight until Aphelios kind of just popped off. Yeah, like this was like okay, so this is really good. Like this is really well played. They end up switching Zonius so that they're never targetable. Yeah, double Zonius from Salas, and then Galio Zonius, and Salas has time to come out. Like their Dynamics is kind of winning the team fight. They're not actually winning, but like they have superior HP and they have TPs up. This is a bug. He has TP, I'm pretty sure, and Galio has TP too. So like if they want to back off right now and like just TP back, they won the team fight. But they end up chasing for, well, they think they can kill the Aphelios, they end up not being able to. They end up chasing and like they get punished for it. But if you go back, shit. When did this happen? Okay, yeah, it's here. So they get punished for it, but then they have TPs, so like they end up getting the Baron anyways. So like that, Aphelios is 6 items, by the way. Like it doesn't, it is ridiculously fed, and it still couldn't do enough. And Lulu like is really, she has a lot of items too. So like if Aphelios has this much item or this many items and he can't like kill your entire team when he's given that kind of opportunity, like I think something is wrong. So yeah, like Aphelios is really good. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's a lot closer to stuff like Twitch. Where he can't really be blind pickable. Like Twitch can't be blind pickable because of his laning phases, and Aphelios can't be blind pickable because of range. Also, I think I forgot to mention it. Is it game 1? No, it's game 2. Okay. I just remember this. I should remember this like way before. So T1, Varus is open. The champion that's been permabanned like everywhere, Varus, is open. You could pick Varus here. He's really good here. You could pick Varus here. He can be played as a mid laner. And is really good as a poke champion, by the way. Which would go well with Nidalee. So like, if you want to pick Nidalee and Jace, like, why not pick Varus? And the other thing with Varus is that like, it's not like you're forced to go lethality. You can easily go on hit, and like, he's really good on hit too. So like, I'm sorry I forgot to talk about this Varus thing specifically. Like, it's really weird. That like, I think it was just forgotten, honestly, which is weird. But yeah, that mostly concludes everything. I thought this series was really interesting. If you guys didn't watch the series, I'd really recommend. The game tree was one hell of a banger. Ridiculous stuff going all around. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you watched this long.